Ladies and gentlemen, today we begin with a simple yet powerful truth. The way you start your day determines the direction of your life. When your heart is anchored in faith, when your mind is focused on truth, and when your spirit is aligned with God's promises, everything around you begins to change. There is a psalm rich with courage, confidence, and unwavering trust that has the power to reshape your thinking, calm your fears, and strengthen your spirit from the very first moment you open your eyes. Imagine waking up each morning not with anxiety, not with doubt, not with the weight of yesterday's failures, but with a deep, unshakable confidence that you are not alone, that no matter what comes against you, there is a divine presence guiding you, protecting you, and leading you forward. This is not wishful thinking. This is the reality of a life grounded in faith. Too often people begin their day overwhelmed. They check their problems before they check their purpose. They meditate on their fears instead of standing on promises. But when you choose to start your day rooted in God's truth, something begins to shift within you. Fear loses its grip. Doubt begins to fade. And a quiet strength rises up in your heart. There is a declaration that says, "The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear?" Think about that for a moment. Light removes darkness. Salvation removes danger. If God is your light, there is no darkness that can confuse you. If He is your salvation, there is no situation that can ultimately defeat you. So why should fear have any authority in your life? Fear thrives in uncertainty. It grows when you feel alone, when you feel exposed, when you feel like the outcome is out of your control. But faith reminds you that God is in control. Even when life feels chaotic, faith tells you that what you cannot see, God already knows. And what you cannot handle, God is more than able to carry. When you truly embrace this truth, your perspective changes. The challenges you face may not disappear overnight, but your response to them becomes different. Instead of shrinking back, you stand firm. Instead of worrying, you trust. Instead of running away, you move forward with confidence. There is also a powerful image of God as a stronghold, a place of safety, a refuge in times of trouble. In a world that is constantly shifting, where people and circumstances can change without warning, having a stronghold means you have a place where you are secure. It means that no matter what storm is raging outside, there is peace within. But here is the key. You must choose to dwell in that presence. You must intentionally seek it. It does not happen by accident. It happens when you make a decision each day to turn your heart toward God, to focus your thoughts on Him, and to trust Him completely. Many people are searching for peace in temporary things. They look for it in success, in relationships, in possessions. But those things were never designed to carry the weight of your soul. True peace comes from knowing that your life is in God's hands, that He is guiding your steps, that He is working behind the scenes. Even when you cannot see it, there is a desire expressed to dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of life, to gaze upon His beauty and seek Him. This speaks of intimacy, of closeness, of a relationship that goes beyond surface-level faith. It is not about rituals or routines. It is about connection. It is about knowing God personally, walking with Him daily, and finding joy in His presence. When you begin your day with that mindset, everything else falls into place. Your priorities become clearer. Your decisions become wiser. Your heart becomes steadier. You are no longer tossed around by every circumstance because your foundation is secure. And then comes a promise that in times of trouble, God will hide you in His shelter. He will set you high upon a rock. This does not mean you will never face difficulties. It means that when you do, you will not be destroyed by them. You will be protected, sustained, and ultimately lifted above them. Think about the battles you are facing right now, the worries that keep you up at night, the questions that have no easy answers. Now imagine facing all of that with the confidence that God is with you, that He is your defender, that He is your provider, that He is your peace. That is the kind of life this truth leads you into. There is also a call to wait on the Lord. In a world that demands instant results, waiting can feel uncomfortable, But waiting is not wasted time when it is spent trusting God. It is in the waiting that your faith is strengthened. It is in the waiting that your character is developed. It is in the waiting that God prepares you for what is ahead. Do not rush ahead of God's timing. Do not try to force what He has not yet opened. Trust that He knows the perfect moment, the perfect path, and the perfect plan for your life. Your responsibility is not to control everything. It is to trust Him in everything. As you start your day, let this truth settle in your heart. You are not alone. You are not without help. You are not without hope. God is your light, your salvation, your stronghold. He is your refuge in times of trouble. He is your guide in moments of uncertainty. He is your guide in moments of uncertainty. He is your strength when you feel weak. So lift your head, strengthen your heart, replace fear with faith, replace doubt with trust, and step into your day with the confidence that no matter what comes your way, you are held, you are guided, and you are deeply loved by the one who is greater than anything you will ever face. When you truly understand that God is your light and your protection, something powerful begins to shift deep within your heart. Light is more than just illumination. It represents clarity, direction, and truth. Without light, even the simplest path becomes confusing and uncertain. You hesitate, you second guess, and fear begins to take control. But when God becomes your light, He removes that confusion. He gives you the ability to see clearly, not necessarily every detail of your future, but enough to take the next step with confidence. Think about how often fear enters your life through uncertainty. It whispers questions like, what if things go wrong? Or what if you're not strong enough? These thoughts thrive in darkness, in the unknown, in places where clarity is missing. But the moment you remind yourself that God is your light, those whispers begin to lose their power. You realize that even if you don't have all the answers, the one who does is guiding you. And that changes everything. God's light does not always reveal the entire road ahead, but it always provides enough direction for the present moment. He leads step by step, teaching you to trust Him daily rather than depend on your own limited understanding. This kind of trust builds a steady confidence, not in yourself alone, but in the one who is leading you. It allows you to move forward, even when the path is unfamiliar, because you know you are not walking it alone. Protection is another powerful truth that brings peace to your soul. When you understand that God is your protector, you no longer feel exposed or vulnerable in the same way. Life is full of challenges, and there will always be situations beyond your control. But knowing that God is watching over you creates a sense of security that nothing in this world can offer. It doesn't mean that difficulties will never come, but it means they will never come without purpose, and they will never come without His presence. There is a deep comfort in realizing that God stands between you and what seeks to harm you. Even when you cannot see what is happening behind the scenes, He is actively working on your behalf. He is closing doors that are not meant for you, redirecting paths that could lead to harm, and strengthening you in ways you may not even recognize at the moment. This divine protection is constant, not occasional. It is present in your highest moments and in your lowest valleys. When this truth settles into your heart, fear begins to lose its authority. Fear often comes from the belief that you are alone in facing life's challenges, but when you know that God is your protection, you understand that you are never alone. You are supported, defended, and guided at all times. This realization allows you to stand firm even in the face of adversity. It also changes the way you respond to opposition. Instead of reacting with panic or retreat, you respond with calmness and confidence. You understand that no situation is greater than God's power. No obstacle is beyond His ability to overcome, and no plan formed against you can succeed without His permission. This doesn't make you careless, but it makes you courageous. It gives you the strength to keep moving forward when others might give up. There will be moments when life feels overwhelming, when the pressure seems too great and the outcome uncertain. In those moments, the truth that God is your light and protection becomes more than just a comforting idea. It becomes your anchor. It holds you steady when everything else feels unstable. It reminds you that even in the darkest situations, there is still light guiding you. And sometimes that light comes in the form of peace, a peace that doesn't make sense to others, a peace that remains even when circumstances haven't changed. That is the kind of peace that comes from trusting in God's presence. It reassures you that you are exactly where you need to be, even if you don't fully understand why. As you continue to walk in this truth, your perspective begins to transform. You stop focusing on what could go wrong and start trusting in what God is doing right. You stop allowing fear to dictate your decisions and start allowing faith to guide your steps. And with each step you take, your confidence grows stronger. This is not about denying reality or pretending that challenges don't exist. It is about choosing to see those challenges through the lens of faith. It is about recognizing that no matter how dark the situation may seem, God's light is greater. No matter how strong the opposition may appear, His protection is stronger. When you live with this understanding, you are no longer easily shaken. You are grounded. You are steady. You are secure in a way that goes beyond circumstances. And that kind of security allows you to live boldly, to pursue your purpose, and to face each day with confidence and peace. The way you begin your morning has a powerful influence over everything that follows. Before the world begins to speak into your life, before the noise, the responsibilities, the pressures, you have a choice. You can either allow fear to take the first seat in your mind, or you can intentionally choose faith. This decision, though it may seem small, shapes your thoughts, your emotions, and ultimately your actions throughout the entire day. Fear often arrives quietly. It doesn't always come as panic. Sometimes it shows up as subtle, chinta, hesitation, or doubt. It reminds you of yesterday's failures, today's uncertainties, and tomorrow's unknowns. It tries to convince you that you are not ready, not capable, or not strong enough, and if you allow it, fear will set the tone for your entire day, causing you to move cautiously, think negatively, and expect the worst. But faith speaks a different language. Faith does not ignore reality. It redefines how you respond to it. It tells you that even though challenges may exist, they do not have the final say. It reminds you that your life is not governed by circumstances, but guided by a higher purpose. When you choose faith at the beginning of your day, you are making a declaration that fear will not control your mindset. This choice requires intention. It doesn't happen automatically. You have to deliberately shift your focus from your problems to God's promises. Instead of dwelling on what could go wrong, you begin to reflect on what God has already done. You remember the times He made a way when there seemed to be no way. You recall the moments when you were strengthened in your weakness and guided through uncertainty. These reflections build your faith and silence the voice of fear. When faith becomes your starting point, your perspective begins to change. The same challenges that once intimidated you no longer have the same power. You start to see them as opportunities for growth rather than obstacles to avoid. You begin to understand that every difficulty carries within it the potential to strengthen your character and deepen your trust in God. Your thoughts also become more disciplined. Instead of allowing negative ideas to take root, you become more aware of what you are thinking. You learn to replace doubt with truth, worry with trust, and anxiety with peace. This mental discipline is non-neutral because your thoughts shape your emotions, and your emotions influence your actions. When your thoughts are grounded in faith, your actions reflect confidence and courage. There is also a noticeable change in how you handle pressure. Life will always present moments of stress and uncertainty, but when your day begins with faith, you are better equipped to handle them. You do not react impulsively or out of panic. Instead, you respond with calmness and clarity. You take a step back, you seek wisdom, and you trust that God is guiding your decisions. Faith also gives you endurance. There will be times when things do not go as planned, when delays occur, and when answers are not immediate. In those moments, fear tries to return, whispering that nothing is working and that you should give up. But faith reminds you to keep going. It tells you that progress is still being made, even if you cannot see it. It encourages you to remain steady and patient, knowing that God's timing is always perfect. Another important aspect of starting your day with faith is the peace it brings. This peace is not dependent on external circumstances. It does not come from having everything under control. It comes from trusting that God is in control. This kind of peace allows you to move through your day without being overwhelmed by every situation that arises. It steadies your heart and keeps you grounded. Your relationships are also impacted by this choice. When you operate from a place of fear, you may become defensive, impatient, or withdrawn. But when you operate from faith, you become more compassionate, more understanding, and more patient with others. You are less reactive and more intentional in your interactions. This not only improves your relationships, but also reflects the inner peace that faith produces. Starting your day with faith is not about perfection. There will be moments when doubt tries to creep in, when circumstances challenge your confidence, and when emotions feel overwhelming. But the difference is that you no longer stay in that place. You recognize those moments and you consciously return to faith. You remind yourself of what you believe and who you trust. Over time, this daily choice becomes a habit. It becomes a natural part of who you are. You begin to wake up with a sense of purpose rather than pressure. You approach your day with expectation rather than anxiety. And even when difficulties arise, you face them with a steady heart, knowing that you are not facing them alone. This is the power of choosing faith over fear at the start of your day. It transforms not only how you feel, but how you live. It strengthens your mind, stabilizes your emotions, and guides your actions. And as you continue to make this choice each day, you will find that fear gradually loses its influence, and faith becomes the foundation upon which your life is built. There is something deeply transformative about intentionally seeking God's presence every single day. It is not merely a routine or a religious obligation. It is the lifeline that connects your heart to a source of peace, wisdom, and strength that cannot be found anywhere else. In a world filled with distractions, noise, and constant demands, choosing to pause and turn your attention toward God is an act of purpose. It is a decision that realigns your inner life with something eternal and unshakable. Many people move through life feeling unsettled, constantly searching for stability in things that were never designed to provide it. They rely on circumstances, achievements, or even other people to give them a sense of security that these things are temporary, and when they shift, as they inevitably do, peace begins to fade. This is why seeking God's presence daily is so essential. It anchors you in something that does not change, something that remains steady regardless of what is happening around you. When you make time to seek God, you are creating space for clarity to enter your life. Your mind is no longer crowded with endless thoughts and worries. Instead, there is a quietness that allows you to think more clearly, to understand your situation from a deeper perspective, and to make wiser decisions. This clarity is not something you can force. It flows naturally when your heart is aligned with God. There is also a profound sense of peace that comes from being in His presence. This peace is not dependent on everything going right in your life. In fact, it often appears most strongly when things are uncertain. It is a calm assurance that even though you may not have all the answers, you are not lost. You are being guided. You are being sustained. This kind of peace guards your heart against anxiety and keeps you from becoming overwhelmed by the pressures of life. Seeking God daily also strengthens your spiritual awareness. You begin to notice things you might have overlooked before. You become more sensitive to the direction He is leading you. Sometimes it may come as a gentle thought, a sense of conviction, or a quiet prompting that guides your decisions. These moments may seem small but they are significant. They are part of a relationship that grows stronger the more you nurture it. Consistency is key in this process. It is not about seeking God only when you are in trouble or when you need something. It is about building a daily connection that becomes a natural part of your life. Just as any relationship requires time and attention to grow, your relationship with God deepens as you consistently spend time with Him. This consistency builds trust. It helps you recognize His voice more clearly and follow His guidance with confide. As you continue to seek God's presence, your priorities begin to shift. Things that once seemed urgent may no longer hold the same importance. You start to focus more on what truly matters, your character, your purpose, and your relationship with Him. This shift brings a sense of direction to your life. You are no longer driven by external pressures or fleeting desires. Instead, you are guided by a deeper understanding of your purpose. Another powerful result of seeking God daily is the strength it gives you to face challenges. Life will always present difficulties, but when you are rooted in God's presence, you are better equipped to handle them. You are not easily shaken because your strength does not come from your own abilities alone. It comes from a source that is far greater. This strength enables you to remain steady even when circumstances are unstable. There is also a transformation that takes place within your heart. As you spend time in God's presence, your thoughts, attitudes, and desires begin to change. You become more patient, more compassionate, more forgiving. You begin to reflect the character of the one you are seeking. This transformation is gradual, but it is real. It shapes the way you interact with others and the way you respond to situations. Seeking God daily also brings a sense of fulfillment that cannot be found elsewhere. There is a deep satisfaction in knowing that you are connected to something greater than yourself. It fills a void that nothing else can fill. This fulfillment is not based on what you have or what you achieve. It is based on who you are in relationship with. At times, it may feel difficult to maintain this daily connection. Life can become busy, distractions can arise, and motivation can fade. But it is in those moments that seeking God becomes even more important. It is not about how you feel. It is about making a choice. Even a few moments of sincere connection can have a powerful impact on your day. Over time, this daily practice becomes a foundation for your life. It influences how you think, how you act, and how you respond to everything around you. You begin to carry a sense of peace and confidence with you wherever you go. And even when challenges arise, you are not easily overwhelmed because you know where your strength comes from. Trusting God's timing requires a kind of patience that does not come naturally to most people. We live in a world that moves quickly, where everything is expected to happen instantly. When something is delayed, when answers do not come right away, or when doors remain closed longer than expected, it is easy to become frustrated. It is in these moments that your faith is truly tested, because waiting challenges your ability to trust what you cannot see. Waiting is often misunderstood as inactivity, as if nothing is happening during that time. But in reality, waiting is one of the most active seasons of your spiritual life. It is a period where growth takes place beneath the surface. While you may not see immediate results, God is working in ways that are not always visible. He is preparing circumstances, aligning opportunities, and shaping your character so that you are ready for what is ahead. One of the greatest struggles during waiting is the temptation to take control. When things are not moving according to your expectations, you may feel the urge to force outcomes or create your own solutions. This can lead to decisions that are rushed and not aligned with God's plan. Trusting His timing means resisting that urge. It means believing that His plan is better than anything you could arrange on your own, even if it requires you to wait longer than you would like. There is also a refining process that takes place during these CSO. Waiting exposes what is truly in your heart. It reveals your level of patience, your ability to trust, and your willingness to surrender control. These are not always easy things to face, but they are necessary for growth. God uses these moments to strengthen your faith, to deepen your reliance on Him, and to develop qualities within you that will sustain you in the future. During waiting, It is important to remain steady in your faith. This does not mean you will never feel discouraged or uncertain. There may be days when the delay feels heavy, when questions arise, and when you wonder if things will ever change. But even in those moments, you have a choice. You can allow doubt to take over, or you can hold on to trust. Choosing trust does not remove the difficulty, but it gives you the strength to endure it. Another important aspect of trusting God's timing is understanding that delay is not denial. Just because something has not happened yet does not mean it will not happen at all. Sometimes the delay is necessary to ensure that everything comes together at the right moment. There may be details you are unaware of, factors that need to align, or lessons that need to be learned before the outcome can unfold in the best possible way. Patience also allows you to appreciate what you receive when it finally arrives. When something comes too quickly, it is easy to take it for granted. But when you have waited, when you have trusted through uncertainty, the fulfillment carries a deeper meaning. You recognize the journey that brought you there, and you value the outcome in a way that would not have been possible otherwise. Trusting God's timing also brings a sense of peace. Instead of constantly striving and worrying about when things will happen, you begin to rest in the assurance that God is in control. This does not mean you become passive or stop taking action where necessary. It means you act with wisdom and patience without the anxiety that comes from trying to control every outcome. There is a balance between doing your part and trusting God to do His. You continue to move forward, to grow, and to prepare yourself, but you leave the results in His hands. This balance allows you to remain productive without becoming overwhelmed. It keeps you focused on what you can control while releasing what you cannot. Waiting also builds endurance. It teaches you how to remain consistent even when progress is not immediately visible. This endurance becomes a strength that carries over into other areas of your life. It helps you remain committed to your goals, your faith, and your purpose, even when challenges arise. As you continue to trust God's timing, you begin to see evidence of His faithfulness. You look back and realize that certain delays protected you, that certain closed doors redirected you, and that certain seasons of waiting prepared you in ways you could not have imagined. These realizations strengthen your trust and give you confidence for future situations. There is also a sense of freedom that comes with surrendering your timeline. When you are no longer bound by the pressure of making everything happen on your schedule, you experience a lighter way of living. You are able to focus on the present moment, to grow where you are, and to trust that what is meant for you will come at the right time. This kind of trust does not develop overnight. It is built over time, through experiences, through challenges, and through consistent faith. But as it grows, it becomes a steady foundation in your life. It allows you to move forward with confidence, not because you know exactly what will happen, but because you know the one who holds your future. As you reflect on everything that has been spoken, it becomes clear that a lie. Be transformed does not begin with outward changes, but with an inward decision, a decision to trust instead of fear, to seek instead of wander, and to wait with patience instead of rushing ahead in uncertainty. Each of these truths builds upon the other, creating a foundation that is strong enough to withstand whatever life may bring. When you truly embrace the understanding that God is your light and your protection, you no longer walk through life feeling lost or exposed. You begin to see with clarity, to move with purpose, and to stand with confidence. This confidence is not rooted in your own strength, but in the assurance that you are guided and guarded by a power far greater than yourself. It changes how you see challenges, not as threats, but as moments where God's presence becomes even more real. Starting your day with faith instead of fear reshapes your entire mindset. It sets the tone for how you think, how you respond, and how you live. Rather than being controlled by uncertainty, you begin to walk in expectation. You begin to believe that no matter what comes your way, you are equipped to face it because you are not facing it alone. This daily choice becomes a habit, and that habit becomes a lifestyle of confidence and peace, seeking God's presence daily, deepens this transformation? It is in those quiet moments of connection that your heart is strengthened and your mind is renewed. You gain clarity where there was confusion, peace where there was anxiety, and direction where there was uncertainty. This relationship becomes the anchor of your life, keeping you steady when everything around you feels unstable. It is no longer about occasional moments of faith, but a consistent walk that shapes who you are from the inside out. And in the waiting where so many feel discouraged, you discover a hidden strength. Trusting God's timing teaches you patience, builds your character, and prepares you for what is ahead. You begin to understand that delays are not setbacks, but setups for something greater. That what feels like silence is often a season of preparation. And that when the time is right, everything will come together in a way that is far better than anything you could have planned on your own. All of these truths come together to form a life that is steady, confident, and full of hope, a life that is not easily shaken by circumstances, because it is rooted in something eternal. You begin to move through each day with a quiet assurance, knowing that you are guided, protected, and deeply loved. And even when challenges arise, you face them with a strength that does not come from within you alone, but from the one who walks with you every step of the way. So as you step forward from this moment, carry this truth with you in your heart, in your thoughts, and in your actions, and let it shape the way you live each day. Walk in faith, trust in His timing, seek His presence, and never forget that the one who is with you is greater than anything that stands before you.